Okay, today we're going to look at the 23rd Psalm, the most popular Psalm of all the Psalms. Um, Probably not going to go too far into it because it's so well known. All of the sermons that have dropped on it, the shepherds look at the 23rd Psalms. Most children memorize it. But when we look at it in the context of all the other Psalms that we've looked at, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. It's kind of one of those middle Psalms. It's not really I'm in the down in the dumps, but it's not really one of those high and lifted up, you're so wonderful kind of Psalms. It's more in the middle. We've seen this earlier with the pastoral, where the one that was talking about the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. It's very pastoral setting, very beautiful, very almost melodic. And here we see that. You get the idea of a shepherd. You get the idea of he's taking care of a sheep. And he's using the sheep, of course, as a figurativism of Israel, of himself leading me. One thing you'll see about the Psalms, it's very me and I oriented. It isn't just, it does aim at Israel, but the vast majority of them are me and I, this very personal relationship that David has with Yahweh, with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. There is a choice word there. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. I can't see that you're with me, but I know that you're with me. Thy rod and staff, they comfort me. The idea that you're going to keep me safe. Sometimes if you get close to an edge and the staff comes along and pushes you over, sometimes you're about to step on something that's dangerous and the rod comes and pulls you back. There's a comfort there. Sometimes we get frustrated when God seems like there's a setback, seems like there's a keeping us away from a certain thing, but we realize that sometimes those are rods and staffs. You're preparing a table before me in the presence of my enemies. When my enemies are struggling and doing without, you have prepared a table before me. It's a beautiful expression of koinonia, of brotherhood, of acceptance, of camaraderie. We always talk about love and we make love almost romantic, but there's this strong masculine love with its camaraderie of, I enjoy being around you. I enjoy spending time with you. It's very strong. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Again, very strong idea of I'm not going to be without his goodness and his mercy. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Whatever this emotive that's going on in this psalm will be going on forever. So this is a very beautiful psalm. Go back and look at it. Just because you've memorized it doesn't mean you know it. But look at it from that pastoral sense. Going back to Genesis 45 and 46, yesterday, let the cat out of the bag. Joseph had just finished. His brothers had come back because there was a problem, because Joseph's silver cup that supposedly he did divination with was stolen, if you will, by one of the boys. Now, the servants of Joseph had put it inside of Benjamin's bag. So they go looking for it, and they even get a little rowdy and saying, well, whoever has it can be your servant. We're so sure we don't have it. But what happens is that they found it in Benjamin's bag, and now the brothers are all upset. Please don't take Benjamin away. You'll kill our father. We'll go back, and you'll put his gray hairs into death, and they're just pleading with Joseph. And finally, Joseph can take it no more. He can't restrain himself, and he doesn't cry out here, but he cries. He stood by himself and cries. He caused every man to leave him, and he made himself known to his brothers. I'm Joseph, your brother. And they just couldn't believe it. And he says, I am Joseph, does my father yet live? And his brethren couldn't answer them. They were troubled in his presence. Come near me, I pray thee. And they came near. I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But don't be grieved nor angry. You sold me, but God did send me before you to preserve life. So he's attributing what has happened in his life up to this point, not to sinfulness, but to the work of God to save the family of this coming in this time of coming famine. And God had moved him there. We saw that he was in there for he was 30 when he became this prince, and he was in jail for 2 years. And again, he could have been in jail for another 8 to 10 years. So God had put this together from the beginning. God sent me before you to prosper you, a prosperity in the earth, and to save your lives in a great deliverance. Once again, and this is all tied to, once again, we've seen the promise of Abraham, God to Abraham, Abraham to Isaac, God to Isaac, and God to Jacob. God has made these promises not just to one man and filtered down. He has talked to every man. I will make your seed as the sand of the sea and the stars of the sky. I'm going to multiply you, and out of you the nations will be blessed. This promise is going on. We'll find out later that Jacob goes ahead and breaks this promise down into 12 parts and gives a part to every son. And so we see that make haste and go up to your father, and God has and tell him that God has made me Lord over all Egypt, and tarry not. You can imagine what happened when they came back with all this stuff. Joseph sent them back, and he says that to bring, I'm going to bring you up to dwell in the land of Goshen, your children and your children's children and your flocks and the herds, and I will nourish you, for yet there are 5 years more famine. So he knows that there's going to be 5 more years of this. And I will nourish you, and I will take care of you. Go home and get everybody. And he even says, don't worry about your stuff. You'll have stuff here. What's mine is yours. Come on in. Don't worry about the stuff you're leaving behind. So he kissed all of his brethren, and he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept. And Benjamin wept on his neck. And he kissed all of his brethren, and they wept with him. And fame went out through Pharaoh's house. Joseph's brothers have come, and it pleased Pharaoh. So Pharaoh's on the side of Joseph, obviously. We always think of pharaohs as being mean and you know, very godless. But here's a pharaoh who is a good pharaoh. And he says, go. He says, the pharaoh said to Joseph, stay with your brethren, do this, laden your beast, and go into Canaan, and take your father and your household, and come here, and I will give you the good of the land, and you shall eat the fat of the land. And you're commanded to take wagons out of this land for your little ones, and for your wives, and bring your father. So he's setting him up. It's just like they take out a whole bunch of stuff. They take down a caravan of stuff, and they're going to bring them back. Children of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh. And all of them, each man was given a change of raiment. And Benjamin was given 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. He really doted on Benjamin. And to his father he sent after this manner 10 asses laden with goods, things of Egypt, and 10 she-asses laden with corn and bread and meat for his father by the way. So he's taking care of them. It's this great big caravan of provision is heading back into this famine land. You know, all these people are sitting around, they're probably thinking, okay, when they get back, we're going to have corn and we're going to make some bread and we're going to, you know, we'll eat and get through this somehow. They don't realize that what's coming over the hill is going to be greater than they can even imagine. And they went out of Egypt and came into Canaan to Jacob. And they said to him, Joseph is yet alive, and he is governor over all the land. I'm sure it says Jacob's heart fainted, for he believed them not. One of the greatest understatements in the Bible is that, you know, his heart fainted. I thought for a decade that this guy was dead. For over 13 years or 15 years, I thought he was dead. You're telling me he's alive? And that he's the ruler of Egypt? You got to be kidding me. And they told him the words, what they said, and he saw the wagons. And Israel said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is alive. I will go see him. So Jacob is now on his way to Egypt. And he journeys back. And God spoke to Israel in a vision in the night. Jacob, here am I am the God of the fathers. Fear not to go down to Egypt, for I will make thee a great nation. I will go down with thee, and I will surely bring thee up again, and Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes. So he's encouraging Israel here. He's encouraging Jacob. I'm sure that Jacob has had a hard time really processing all of this information. And sometimes when we have a hard time processing information, God will come and help us to understand, especially if we're in his word. So he rose up and went from Beersheba with his sons and his little ones in the wagons, and they took their cattle and their goods, and his sons and his sons' with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all their seed. And we go through the names here real quick of Reuben and all the all the sons that came down. And you mentioned them. I think it's interesting you mentioned the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Kohath and Merari. We'll see them come up again when the Levites become the priest, when they volunteer to become the priest under Moses, that these 3 tribes will be the ones that carry the tabernacle, that care for the tabernacle things when they're having to move the tabernacle from place to place. These tribes from these 3 men will be the servants that take care of the tabernacle. And so we go through all the sons. And Benjamin, he has his children too. See, when we think of Benjamin, we're thinking of, a young boy. He had his sons too, so he was an older man at this time. Again, we're saying that, Joseph could have been 37 when this happened, 35. That would put him in his 20s. He would have had some young children at this time. And he goes through all of the sons. And the total that went down was 70 people. And he sent Judah before him to Joseph. So Judah's the one who's going first. Excuse me. Again, a typological of Christ. Christ being, Judah, the lawgiver. Judah, the one of peace. So Judah goes first to direct his way to Goshen. And they came to the land of Goshen. And Joseph had made ready his chariot. He was ready. Joseph was on the other side preparing to see his dad for the first time in almost 20 years. You can imagine the anticipation. And he saw his dad, he fell on his neck, and he wept for a good long while. Another one right here. An understatement, to say the least, that he wept for a good long while. And he also said to Joseph, now let me die, I have seen thy face, and thou art yet alive. And Joseph says to his brethren, go up and show Pharaoh, and say unto him, my brethren and my father's house have come, and we are shepherds, and our trade is to feed cattle. And we brought flocks and herds. And it came to pass, as Pharaoh will be calling you, say, what is your occupation? So when we're dealing with here the idea of occupation, he again tells them, tell him you're dealing with cattle, that you're not shepherds. Again, shepherds are seen as an abomination. So he's warning them once again, we're dealing with cultural differences. And again, because there's no governmental structure, I can lean on this again and again. We're dealing with cultural ideologues put in place in certain areas. And it's okay to understand the cultural ideologue and go with that culture. So here he says, just tell them you don't take care of sheep. Now, they will tell them they're shepherds. But he's warning them, you're in a different culture now. Things are different. So, things are different. The family is at peace. The sons are all together. The dad's together. I mean, this is a very, Norman Rockwell moment, if there ever was one in the Bible. And it's just part of a beautiful story. Anyway, more to come. Bye.